Ag Tire Talks, Driving Yield Through Tire Technology, sponsored by Michelin Agriculture.
James Tushner with Ag Tire Talk here. I'm with David Graden, Operational Marketing Manager for Michelin Agriculture North America. Thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So we've got a couple of products that we're going to talk about in sync with the driving yield through tire technology theme. And with that being said, we're going to start off with a new Michelin Spray Bib.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, just let's get a little bit of history on the Spray Bib. About how long ago, the Spray Bib's been around for, it seems like well over a decade. Has it not, David?
You're right, James. Yeah, it's been around for a long time. When I first started into agriculture within Michelin, that was over 10 years ago, and we were still talking about Spray Bib as kind of the latest and greatest. But we tend to do that for several years.
Okay, very good. And it's obviously had a wide swath of OE fitments as well. So it's my understanding now that you've got a brand new line that's being released here very shortly, really just to upgrade it. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. Yes, sir. So we're adding a CFO index to the Spray Bib that stands for cyclical field operation.
Okay.
And so that's a new thing for us in the sprayer design, the Spray Bib design. So we're very excited about it.
Well, I don't believe anyone else with a cyclical field operation stamping and really ability in the sprayer arena yet. Are you aware of any others at this point?
I'm not, as far as I am aware, and I may be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, we're the first manufacturer to come out with this in the sprayer tire market.
Very good. So let's start with just a brief synopsis on what cyclical field operation, just in general terms, means and what that really affords the producer.
Yeah. So what that does is I guess let me break that down to the most simplest way. Very simply, what that does is it changes the load speed table for Spray Bib VF, right? So the Spray Bib was already a VF tire, so very flexible, very high flex technology, which is something that Michelin developed and invented in the early 2000s, and now as an industry standard, right? So adding the CF to that, what that has allowed us to do is to reduce those speeds and improve the carrying capacity at lower speeds than its predecessor now.
Okay, so really just in the simplest of terms, correct me if I'm wrong, cyclical field operation tires, basically what that is a tire that's designed for live loads, so to speak. So if you've got, say, a 1,200 gallon sprayer, obviously the loads change dramatically from being empty to 1,200 gallons, and these tires are specifically designed for that type of service.
You're absolutely right. In fact, think of it this way. So a static tire, so a tire that's not moving, can carry a far higher load than a tire that is moving. And the faster that tire rolls, the lower the carrying capacity is of that tire. What we've done with cyclical field operation is when the tire is rolling slower, so for example, field operational speeds, right, that 12 to 15 mile an hour sweet spot that farmers like to run.
Yep.
We now have a load index and an air pressure recommendation for those lower speeds specifically. And so that allows us to broaden and lengthen the footprint to improve tractive capacity, carrying capacity, and all that comes with that.
So let's just take one layer deeper dive into the load speed table. So correct me if I'm wrong, David, but in the past, a typical VF rated tire would just be set for one speed. So if it was a D speed rating, it was 40 miles an hour, that was it. You got one load speed, you're done. It didn't matter how fast it's 40 mile per hour to zero was one deal, one load table. Well, one of the things that I thought was interesting about this is that I look at the load tables. You have low speed on here, like you said, that 10 to 15 mile per hour range stuff. So really, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is really designed to accommodate CTIS perfect, right? Because now if they slow it down, they can take those air pressures down. Is that correct?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. And I'm glad you mentioned central tire inflation. That is something that is coming like a freight train to North America. It's becoming a more and more a common practice in Canada, specifically. A lot of that has to do with the fact that the Canadian government is, depending on province, supports end users and farmers but to purchase this type of
They're
technology to reduce.
subsidizing it, right? They're giving them
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
a
they're
10 grand deal
subsidizing.
or something like that.
Yep,
I know they're
that's
doing that in
absolutely
Germany
right.
as well, right?
That's right. That's right.
Not quoting the numbers, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, just as a one other point of reference, Agritechnical 2019. I mean, half the stuff there was CTIS. You know, that's a swag number, but
Right.
a very large percentage of the equipment had central tire inflation system relative to the North America. But you know, it's interesting too. I mean, just the last press release, second to last press release on Deere, talking about for 2022 that they're now offering it. And AGCO has had it for some time as well. So, okay,
That's
so
right.
really what we're talking about here is an upgraded lineup that has those new age VF load speed tables, right, to accommodate the new age equipment that has the varying speeds in the central tire inflation systems.
That's right. Yeah. And the old spray bib, we basically was pegged at 65 kilometers per hour. I believe that's what, a 35, 40 mile per hour. And that's where the load inflation table started. So now we can go all the way down. I mean, this thing goes all the way down to roughly 6 miles per hour. Speed rating on the top end went from 40 miles per hour to 44 miles per hour. That may not seem like a lot to many folks, but those operators that are operating these machines on the road, I mean, that's also that's an upgrade as well. And so they can get to where they're going faster.
Oh yeah, so the old spray bib, correct me if I'm wrong, was just a D speed rating to
That's
40,
correct.
right? And now this one's dual marked D/E, so we can get it's a rounding, but 43 miles an hour,
That's
so to
correct.
speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So it gives them a little bit more versatility, and we know that especially in the sprayer arena, they're always pushing the envelope of the speed. So
It's always speed. That's right.
so at the end of the day, we've got the new tables, right? We've got the higher speed rating. We've got the cyclical field operation. So let's just boil that down as to what that means to the producer as far as reduction in PSI and really what that means for footprint, which is really what everyone's wanting to know what's happening with.
Yeah, you're right. And so from a footprint standpoint, let's talk about it in comparison to like our leading competitor standard tire, for example.
Okay.
This tire, we measured this CFO spray bib, the 380/90/46 size. We measured that against our leading competitor's standard tire, and you're talking about a plus 20% footprint. Now that's a big deal. Now what that means is you've got more lugs on the ground. Not only are you getting the entire width of the tread on the ground, but a very, very long. So most of that footprint is in the length of that footprint on the ground. And that length gives you more lugs on the ground, more biting edges in those lugs, improved tractive capacity, improved fuel savings, reduced soil compaction, which ultimately leads to better yields, and flotation. I mean, I can go on for another half day on this. There's so much that is afforded now that we have a much larger footprint than we used to have.
Very good. Now you're going to have all of the basic sprayer sizes ultimately, correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir. Yeah. So with the spray bib CFO index, we're actually moving to entirely replace that standard spray bib VF tire.
Okay.
Most of which we'll replace by the end of this year, and that's the plan.
Okay, so we'll start to see this mid-year, a little bit earlier than mid-year. Some of the sizes come out, and you're
yes,
looking...
sir. So the most common size right now, I'd say probably 60 to 70% of demand on sprayer tires is in the 380/90/46. And so we're launching that product in April of this year. So just a couple of months away. The remaining sizes right now, the plan is to launch late third, early fourth quarter. of this year.
How about the flotation sizes? You can do anything with 650, 65, 38s or anything wide like that, or not at this time?
Not at this time. Not at this time. We're always looking at that. We are developing some new products in our Mega X Bib 2 line. We've got some new products coming down the pipe. But really, we have a great portfolio that covers a lot of those today, especially when you start looking at some of our VF technologies. Our Axu Bib 2 is one that is really picked up a lot of sales here in the recent past. I believe we're finally getting to a point in North America where there's a growing demand for flotation and improved efficiency, tractive capacity, carrying capacity. I mean, my gosh, machines now are just gargantuous. They're just getting bigger every year. So we've seen the market leaning that direction to flotation and VF technologies. Very good.
I think that about covers it. Is there any closing thoughts on that particular lineup that you'd like to share?
Not really. You did make a comment regarding CTIS within sprayers, and sprayers they're a market that could really benefit from central tire inflation systems. As you and I have talked many times, Michelin owns PTG Central Tire Inflation System, so it's a German company. We purchased them back in I think it was either 2017, 2018, early 2018, and we've had substantial sales growth in the U.S. and again, especially in Canada. So that particular technology combined with sprayers and a new CFO index on this spray bib is there's not a lot out there like that. So it's a great matchup if you really want to get your ROI.
Awesome. One of the things I've been finding as I travel, just maybe 2 to 3 years ago, it was very hard pressed to find producers that understood VF technology, very hard pressed to find producers who really understood how reducing air pressure really dramatically reduced the sole compaction, specifically lengthened that footprint. Thanks to guys like you, David, that are out there, singing the song and on programs like ours, now they're becoming far more aware of the technology.
Right. You're absolutely right. And it's coming like a freight train. I keep using that phrase because
I love
it really is. I think it's sneaking up on us. There's this new focus and there's this interest from our governments to improve carbon sequestration, or there's these carbon credits out there now. And so the carbon, there's a carbon market, there's a business, there's big business, and it's overall, it's helping our environment. It's improving our environment, right? And so there's a lot of benefits out there, and we're trying to stay on the forefront of technology with regard to these things, and really trying to offer products and even services for producers that really adds to the bottom line. That is our first and foremost interest, is adding to the bottom line and improving the overall efficiency of farmers.
Awesome. Yeah, that carbon thing is certainly growing. Okay, so speaking of that, let's talk about your Evo Bib.
Yeah, absolutely. So Evo Bib, we launched Evo Bib many years ago as a product that goes with central tire inflation systems. The product sold very well in Europe, and as we brought central tire inflation systems to North America and began really drumming up, the big so what behind central tire inflation systems, we began selling this product here in the U.S. as well. Well, over the last couple of years, we really deep dived into this product to improve it.
You've upgraded it.
Yeah, we've really upgraded it. We took some of the lug designs, we've shaved a couple of corners off to improve some of those areas where it was rubbing and wearing. We, overall, the tire is designed as I'm going to call it a shapeshifter in essence, right?
Let's talk about the design. So first of all, it's designed for CTIS. And it's a super unique tread design for our listeners. It's a bit hard to describe. Encourage you to come on and check it out. So why don't you try to describe this Interesting. It
Yeah,
almost
so
looks like extraterrestrial tire, man.
it does, man.
It's like a
It's a sweet
spaceship
looking,
thing.
yeah, it's a really sweet looking design. Think about this. So when you inflate a tire to its maximum inflation, that tire tends to, I'm going to use my hands here to kind of egg out a little bit. So the crown lifts, and so you make that instead of a nice wide flat contact patch, you begin to make that contact patch a little bit smaller and more oval shaped as you inflate a tire. The design behind this tire, with the push of a button today and hopefully autonomously one day, that tire is designed to flatten out, and the lugs on the side, or let's call it the shoulder area of that tire, really roll down and create a nice and even wider footprint and additional tractive capacity, and reduce the downward force on the soil by expanding that footprint very, very wide and very, very long with these I'm going to call them shoulder lugs.
So basically, when it's in the road, high pressure, we're just running on the center, right? Lower rolling resistance, less fuel, variety of great benefits, less tire wear. But when we get to the field, we're taking those pressures way down, oftentimes single digit. And not only is the center on the dirt, but also those edges as well, right?
That's
So
right.
it's almost like two different designs, one for field and one for road.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I'm going to use a very technical term. You ready for this?
Yes.
We call this sidewall technology that Michelin VF tires have. That is the Michelin Bulge.
Yeah, it is,
right?
man. People,
I don't know how official that technical term is, but I use it often. People, when you use that phrase, the Michelin Bulge, people, wait a minute, what is that? It opens up conversation, right? But that's exactly what it does. That tire, those sidewalls are designed with this very specific flex point, just like all VF tires. But this tire is, it's just so much more of a change to the overall shape of that sidewall and flexibility to give a maximum footprint on the ground for, again, just like that Spray Bib CFO, maximum tractive capacity, reduced fuel consumption, reduced soil compaction. I mean, just the list goes on.
I tell you what, it certainly is not only unique, but certainly leading edge from the standpoint of looking just from an aesthetic standpoint, just really high tech is the easiest and simplest way I could put it.
It's a mean looking tire. That's right.
Amen. All right. So are these VF?
They are VF.
Oh, okay.
Yep, they are VF. And I would even go so far as it's probably a VF, beyond VF, the way they operate.
So you're looking at putting the new load flotation tables as well with the slower speeds, I would assume, on this as well.
That's correct. That's correct.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's talk through some of the sizes that are going to be first released on this upgraded version. I think you've got a couple of them.
We do. That's right. Yeah. So in June of this year, at least that's the original, the plan today is to launch two sizes in June of this year. We're going to launch the 710/70/42 VF. And then we'll also launch the typical front match to that in the 670 R30 VF.
So I assume that's a mechanical front wheel drive.
Yes, correct. Yes, sir.
Typical Ag CNH Deere.
Yep, that is absolutely correct. And I have seen with this tire's predecessor, in many cases where we've even replaced duals with this single, and have gotten fantastic reviews on it. The tire performs phenomenally, but it's really targeted towards that audience that's looking for, a big return on investment.
Good. I know that there have been studies that you have printed on the blog, one from the University of Illinois, one from Harper Adams, showing that just from changing from standard to VFs, you're looking at about a 4% plus in yield.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's actually, I believe the number is 4.31% yield improvement at University of Illinois. Yes, in Champaign-Urbana. I did participate in that to a limited extent, right? We weren't allowed to, we actually weren't even allowed to see the results or shape the results before it was published. This is a true third party study that was done by a PhD student there at University of Illinois. And they were able to prove a 4.31% yield improvement. Now, that's a pretty significant amount of yield improvement. In fact, I put together a calculator and we put it on one of our websites, hardworkingtires.com. So you can actually go in as a producer, you can plug in your own numbers, your fuel economy, the acres, everything. You manipulate this yourself and see what VF technology can do for your farm.
Well, the cool thing, if you look at the numbers, a lot of times with that type of yield increase, 1,000 acres, just changing the tires out and you pay for the tires with the yield increase, man. It's like free money.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the ROI is anywhere from, depending on how many acres you run, you're talking 3 to 5 years sometimes. Now that's after that. I mean, it's all money in your pocket.
It's pure money.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's the ROI on is incredible when you break down the numbers. And I've used this in front of farmers. I've talked with producers, and I've put all this together. In fact, I built this calculator while I was on a Zoom call with a customer. And once I showed it to them, the aha moment in their eyes was priceless. It's just so fun to see that connection using the producer's numbers. So it's good stuff.
David,
it's very exciting.
I don't think we could have better hit the driving yield through tire technology title today.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad.
All right, cool. So last question. Mm-hmm. What about the load speed index? You doing an E on this one as well, or a D, or what?
Yeah, so this one is a load E speed index, and I'm pulling up my file here just to double check. But I believe this is also an E speed rated tire also.
Yeah, it seems like everything seems to be gravitating towards that.
It has to.
And why?
Machines are getting they're getting so fast today. Producers are demanding more and faster, and so we're trying to keep up with manufacturers.
I think in the last JCB spec sheet I saw, that thing was doing 45 miles an hour.
Yeah. Oh man, it's nuts how fast they're going. That's right.
So, well, good. All right. So, any closing thoughts on Evo Bib?
No, sir. Just be on the lookout. We're going to start producing some marketing materials here very soon. We'll probably show this product. I'd love to show it at Commodity Classic. I don't know if I'm going to get one in time to do that, but I would really love to. I'm still working on that. Commodity Classic coming really right around the corner, and then we'll be at Farm Progress this year and hopefully have a set to show there if we don't at Commodity Classic. So. But visit us. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, visit us at hardworkingtires.com for that calculator. You can find out more information on the tires that we're launching or have launched at michelinag.com.
All right, David, that's a close. And thanks again for your contribution.
Yes, sir. James, thank you.